If this is a Christian marriage, then I'm glad I don't have one. You know, I think we've lost the plot. This whole country right now is in religious psychosis. I'll be real, I cheated. Now, OP, you know that wasn't the solution. Hello, little enzymes. Welcome back to Dacia's Digest. Today, we will be going into some relationship drama. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's go ahead and get straight into it. I, 29 female, have been with my husband, 29 male, for 8 years. I have feelings for a coworker, 30 male, that I can't shake. You might have heard this story before because it's old. It's from 2015, but I don't think we've covered it on this channel. So here we go. I've been with my wonderful husband since we were 20 and 21. We have an amazing relationship with each other. These glasses are bothering me because they have like too much of a glare. Hold on. We're gonna do no glasses. I can't find my glasses, but I feel like even though they're not prescription, they're just like a part of me. I'm sure some of you probably don't mind anyway, because sometimes there's a glare off of my lights. But anyways, let's just keep going. We have an amazing relationship with each other, still make time for dates every week, and really just enjoy each other. He became my best friend pretty instantly from when we started hanging out in high school, and that still hasn't changed today. I have a girlfriend who I do call my best friend, and outside of my marriage, she is, but even that doesn't compare to the friendship I have with my husband. We've had our rough patches, but never anything very severe. There are some things I need to change about myself and things he needs to work on as well. Nothing relationship ending, just things that we need to do to be better people and better partners. And I doubt this will ever change, as it's impossible to just be perfect people. We don't have any children, nor are children in our future. Okay. We both work and bring home pretty decent money, although we've both had small patches of unemployment in the past and were supported by the other. There's never been any hostility over the finances, regardless of who is making more or who is supporting whom. Our marriage has survived depression, alcoholism, and a couple of physical medical conditions, all met with overwhelming support from each other. We are a great team. Our intimate life is great and really active. A dry spell for us is going the work week without being intimate because one or both of us are just too exhausted, but that is not very common. We get along well with each other's families, and my family has really bonded with my husband. As far as they are concerned, he's just another son or brother. He's everything I could have ever hoped for in a husband and more, and I really, truly love him. Now, I felt myself attracted to others in the past, and I'm sure he has been through the same, but it's not anything we've ever discussed with each other. I know it's normal, and it's never been anything too intense before. If I find myself starting to get feelings for someone who I see a lot, it doesn't take much to shake off. This is the first time I've ever dealt with feelings so intense, and I don't really know what to do next. My coworker is very attractive, super friendly, and I just enjoy being around him. Girl, you gotta get from around him. That's the first step. Get from around him. I saw a quote the other day that said, nobody falls in love faster than coworkers. Because it's true. Like, come on. Whatever you think you're feeling, you think you might have feelings for your coworker or infatuation or whatever, it's not real. Something about the co-working environment, the job environment, it just is like the perfect storm for what you might feel like is romance to occur. It's not. You got to separate yourself from this as soon as you can. She said, we started working at this company around the same time, roughly 8 months ago. We were in training for a couple of weeks, which was absolute torture. My feelings came on strong and came on quick. I'm sure I've turned red when he flashes me a smile. It would be embarrassing enough if I were single simply because we work together, but I'm married and I feel like that probably looks really poorly on me. We don't work together anymore, but our departments are close, and if he walks through my section, he'll put his hand on my shoulder and give it a squeeze to get my attention while he's walking by, then flash me that smile. I'll make conversation if we pass each other or are at a work event together, but I do the same with pretty much everyone I've worked with or currently work with. We don't have each other on social media, have not exchanged numbers, and don't see each other outside of work. I was invited out to a bar nearby by him and a few others a couple of times, but turned them down. Okay. Seems like you're keeping the boundaries good so far. Okay. She said, I work in a male-dominated field and didn't feel right being the only woman out at the bar with a bunch of guys, especially one who I do feel this way about. I avoid his floor at work when possible, and if he's on lunch at the same time, I'll say hi as I pass by, but just grab my stuff and eat on the patio or on another floor. Okay. It sounds like you're taking the steps needed to make sure that, you get from around this guy. So I'm happy to hear that. I guess we'll see if there's an issue, like maybe it's just because it's on her mind so much. I don't know. She said, I try to just avoid thinking about him or remind myself of how dumb I'm being, but I can't shake this feeling. I'm not afraid I'm going to be an idiot and, quote, let passion take over or any of that nonsense. And I think all of those excuses for one-time mistakes are garbage. I'm in control of my actions and could never be so cruel to my husband. I just don't know what to do to shake these feelings. The last time I felt such a strong desire for someone was when I met my husband. We were great friends instantly and hung out/fooled around for about a year before we made things serious. I was very young when we got together, and none of my relationships prior were very serious. I just never felt so strongly attracted to someone and didn't think it was even possible to with anyone else. I don't compare my husband to my coworker or vice versa, and that's not what I'm trying to do here either. I've just been able to shake it off anytime I've had feelings come on for someone else. It doesn't matter what I do with this guy, though. If I think about him, it's hard to get him off my mind regardless of what's going on around me. I have gone weeks without running into him and he won't cross my mind, but then I can catch a glimpse of him when I'm strolling into work and my heart will start racing faster. I have a desire to be around him and be close to him, and I just need it to go away. I feel like I'm in high school all over again, except instead of daydreaming in class, I'm trying to get this dude off my mind and get some dang work done. Okay. I know that Reddit is big on full disclosure, but this is not something I will be discussing with my husband. These feelings aren't coming out of neglect or want in my relationship with him. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything by being with him, and there's nothing that he can do that would fix this for me. If he were feeling the same way about someone, I can honestly say I wouldn't want to hear about it. I was gonna say, because I was thinking, is this something that she should let her husband know about? But I feel like she seems pretty, she don't seem like she gonna cheat or anything. She doesn't seem like she's going to actually act on the feelings. She does everything that she needs to do to avoid a situation happening. She don't text the guy. She avoids, meetups, going out to the bar and things where she knows he's going to be. If he's in the break room, she eats somewhere else. It seems like she's actively taking steps to make sure nothing happens. So for me, that's why I'm because I probably wouldn't tell the husband either. And vice versa. If my husband was feeling that way and our marriage was completely fine, I don't know if I would want him to tell me. Just keep it to yourself. If you're doing what you need to do, just keep it to yourself. You're not cheating. She said, if he felt neglected and my actions were causing him to desire affection elsewhere, then that would be a different story. I know that this is something that would affect him really bad, and I don't want him to feel uncomfortable for the 40 to 50 hours a week that I'm in the same building with this guy when there's nothing he could do or say that would change what's going on with me, and there's no chance of me crossing a line. I just don't see the purpose in creating an issue in my marriage when there isn't one. Yeah, I kind of agree with her on that one. Okay, so some of the comments. Someone said, every time you see this guy, tell yourself to mentally stop and imagine the wonderful qualities your husband has, or imagine you and your husband doing something you enjoy. Try to replace these feelings of attraction with your husband. OP responded, for some reason, I hadn't even thought of this. I tend to just clam up a bit. Thanks. That's actually, I mean, that's a good idea. That's a good little practice to try. So this is a longer comment, but someone said, I'm going to be bold and just go ahead and say, you really do not have feelings for him, but more the idea of him. Truth is, you do not know him at all. Okay, he seems nice, but people can be all sorts of things without necessarily being that particular thing. For example, he smiles and you think he is a warm person. People can smile without necessarily being warm people. He may be kind to you or other people and do kind things, and you think he is a kind person, but people can do kind things without being kind people. I hope now you can understand what I mean when I say that you really do not have feelings for him because you don't know him. You only know what you want to see in him, and that is what attracts you to him. While it may be true that this is what you felt when you first met your husband, I would not give these feelings much consideration. You may have felt the same thing when you met your husband, but your relationship with your husband has developed into something real and genuine. That's a good point. If you want to think of the love that people talk about, then think of a spark. A spark can start a fire, but a spark is not a fire. Ooh, yo, they ate with that one. A spark can start a fire, but a spark is not a fire. Yeah, a fire grows by continuously feeding it with logs of wood. I'm writing that down. They really ate that. They really ate with that. I'm copying and pasting that. They really ate with that. They said, in terms of relationships, the logs of wood are represented by shared experiences. Love grows out of shared experiences, which are a result of compatibility. Love is the fire, and infatuation is the spark. In the beginning, you experienced a spark with your husband, but it has now grown into a fire. You are now experiencing a spark with this coworker, and if you indulge that spark, it may grow into a fire. You need to look for alternative avenues of thought. You need to keep your mind occupied when these thoughts begin to surface. You need to put out that spark before it turns into a fire, or pretty soon you will find yourself saying, I have no idea how this happened. Do not indulge in the spark. Remember that it is not him that you have feelings for. You do not know him. You only know what you have built him out to be. He may turn out to be someone very different from what you imagine. Whenever those feelings begin to surface, just remind yourself that it is the idea of him that you have feelings for, and that you and your husband have a real fire, not just a mere spark that can just as easily grow dim. Whoever that person is wise beyond their years. That was a really good comment. OP responded, thank you for your response. I think looking at it from that perspective is really helpful. I'm not fantasizing our life together or even thinking about intimacy when I see him. It's more of a physical reaction, which is kind of embarrassing, and getting stuck on how he makes me feel, his smile, voice, etc. I'm just hoping that it does fade away quickly. It's just been a few months at this point, and I'm starting to get frustrated and angry with myself. Part of me hopes he just decides brushing his teeth is overrated or something that will disgust me enough to flip that switch. It don't really sound like she listening for real. Like, did you not hear the masterpiece that they just laid out for you right here? A spark is not a fire. And here you go. I hope he doesn't brush his teeth one day so he can have funky breath that'll turn me off. Girl, what? A spark is not a fire. Somebody said, so as I understand it, you're trying to ignore these feelings and just turn them off. I think the only way that you will be satisfied with this is mind over matter. Good old-fashioned willpower. It doesn't sound like you're alternatively interested in pursuing this fantasy. It's tough, but I think the only thing you can do is just try harder to ignore these feelings. I don't really know what else you can do. OP responded, yeah, that's essentially it. I guess I was just hoping someone would know how to flip that switch, and I would be missing the super obvious answer. It's just really frustrating and uncomfortable. I'm just gonna skip to the update, which was 41 days later. She said, before the update, I would like to clear something up that I think I may have worded poorly. My job is not male dominated in the sense that there are 300 employees and like 4 women. We're probably closer to 25 to 30% female employees, the rest being male. We all give each other a hard time and play around, and it's not just all the guys here petting on the women. I've only had female coworkers mess with my hair as they're running by, similar to what I do with my sisters. The extent of touch that I've gotten or given to any of the guys here has been a pat on the back for a good job in a rough close, handshakes, pat on the shoulder in passing to get their attention while I'm going to make copies, and I've hugged one male coworker who was retiring and whose wife was there for the retirement party. This isn't a stuffy office setting, but this isn't HR's nightmare either. That being said, I did need to find a way to put distance between coworker and myself, given the reaction he got out of me, even with something as simple as eye contact. So now on to the update. I am friends with my husband's boss's wife and gave her a call to help get his time off. His employer is very lenient on time off, and I just set it up so that they were expecting him to call out. We had a romantic extended weekend away, and it gave me a chance to really appreciate him. Thank you to the Redditors who advised putting more focus on us. I don't think I would have planned the surprise otherwise. Now back to work. A lot has happened in the last month, and I'm planning on going no contact with the coworker the very second I can. What? Shortly after I returned, I found out that he had put in for a transfer into my department and had also been added onto my team. No problem. I'm an adult. I can behave like an adult, and the time away to clear my head and reevaluate where I was putting my energy had a bigger effect than I anticipated. I'm so glad. She said, well, things got a little weird. He started grabbing me coffee when he'd pick his up because I took on a new project and was showing up earlier and staying later than normal. But he didn't do this for anyone else whose workload had increased. About 4 of us took on new clients. Oh, so he was feeling the energy too. Now he trying to make a move. And knowing that she's married, bro, come on, bro. She said our lunches lined up a little more frequently. I got friend and follow requests on social media, which I declined, stuff like that. I felt like he would stand a little closer to me than what was comfortable, but at this point, it still felt like I was reading too much into it. It was confusing and difficult, given that this feeling isn't wanted, but I do just feel drawn to him, like there's a connection I desperately want to break. I always park by the smoking section because I have a filthy habit and like to be close, and he caught me tonight while I was walking out to my car. He stopped me and asked to bum a smoke, and we talked for a couple of minutes. He then said he had something kind of uncomfortable to talk to me about. He told me he had felt really attracted to me since we first met, and that working more closely with me has shown him that he has some real feelings for me. Yikes. He says he knows that I'm married. Now, why would you even tell her this then? Like, what's the point of even telling her this? Maybe he wanted to see just how happily married she was. Because what would be the point? She said, he says he knows that I'm married and will respect any boundaries I set up, but that he hasn't felt this strongly about someone before, and he couldn't live with the what ifs. Apparently, he went so far as to end things with his girlfriend and is now staying with his parents for a couple of weeks while he gets a new place lined up. That is insane. You break up with your girlfriend for a married coworker who hasn't even said that she likes you or anything like that? What? She said he could feel something between us and didn't think it was only him. I mean, I guess technically it wasn't only him, probably. I know she has said, she's taken all these steps to not be around him and all that stuff. But look, if you getting red in the face and blushing every time he come around and all types of stuff, getting shy at eye contact, I mean, he probably felt the vibes. He probably did feel the vibes. She said, I told him that I am very happily married and that he shouldn't mistake my friendliness with flirtation and that he needs to learn more appropriate boundaries with coworkers. I asked him to give me distance and that if it wasn't work-related, there was no reason to discuss it because we are coworkers, not friends, and left. He looked a little defeated and apologized for overstepping. My husband is out of town on a work trip, so I had to come home to an empty house, feeling the weirdest mix of emotions I've had since this whole mess started. Like another user mentioned in my last post, this is most definitely something wonky going on with our pheromones, causing the weird flutter of emotions. The way he came across letting me know he was okay if I cheated on my husband with him painted him in a whole new light. That is crazy. He doesn't seem like this charming guy anymore, just a douchebag who probably hasn't been told no enough times in his life. I have trouble falling asleep by myself, and this whole situation has been a mess, so sorry for any weird formatting. I'm exhausted and figured I may as well update while everything is fresh. I'm confused. I still think he's really attractive, but I'm now equally repulsed by him as a person overall. Yeah, I mean, I would have been repulsed. Like, after that, like, yeah, I know you're married, but wait a minute. What? But what? But what, sir? You want to try to hit a 2-piece spicy with me knowing I'm married? So you have no morals. And you went so far as to break up with your girl to try and pursue me, a married woman. Yeah, nah, he would have, any type of attractiveness that I thought I had would have been gone. Then she had another mini update. I didn't go into work today, but I did get an email from coworkers. It starts with what seems like a sincere apology to then offering to buy me dinner this weekend to make it up to me. I responded with, your advances made me very uncomfortable, and I will say again that I am not interested in meeting you outside of work. His second email was another apology while making sure I knew the offer for dinner as friends to make it up to me would still be on the table. I did not respond to the second one, and he has not reached out again today. It sounds like it might be time to get HR involved, because now this is like, you're doing too much. I already rejected you once in person. You send me an email, try to ask me out again. I reject you again. Now, a third time. And to be so bold to have it all in writing too, like she can't just screenshot these messages and send it directly to the HR. Yeah, it's time. Get them involved. She said, I am in a bit of a weird place, growing a bigger dislike towards coworker while still having those weird primal feelings. Planning a nice dinner in and some Netflix and chill when my husband gets home. Definitely putting in for a department change when one becomes available. I've spent a little time browsing job postings, but I do love where I work, so I don't think that's the best solution. Wow, that's crazy. It's crazy that this was posted 10 whole years ago. All right, next story. This is from our subreddit. My estranged husband and I have been apart for years, but I still feel guilty about divorcing him. So I don't usually post, but I love Dacia's Digest because y'all keep it real and I need some perspective on this situation. And we love you back. Hopefully we can get you the perspective you're looking for. Let's see. I, 36 female, have been separated from my husband, 42 male, for almost 5 years. We were together for over a decade, married for a few of those years, and we have a daughter together. I've been in a new relationship for nearly 3 years now, but I'm still legally married. Girl, get the divorce. What is taking so long? Y'all been separated for almost 5 years. What is taking so long? I always wonder what takes so long for people to get divorced, like when it's years. And you already been in a new relationship for almost 3 years. Go get the divorce. Let it go. She said, here's where it gets messy. Our relationship was full of ups and downs. He was actually there for me during some of the darkest times of my life, like real trauma, family stuff, financial struggles. So part of me always felt indebted to him. But the truth is, we were never really compatible. I grew up with nothing, literally hungry sometimes, so I developed this hustle mindset. I wanted to climb, to create stability. My husband grew up comfortable. He never had to struggle. So when life got hard, he shut down. I'd be scrambling to pivot and figure out solutions, and he would just check out. Then came the intimacy issues. He had a corn problem. He would stay up at night watching it, but he rarely wanted to be intimate with me. And when I confronted him, instead of owning it, he flipped it on me. You're too aggressive, too masculine. That's why I don't want you. Well, shoot. Okay. I tried to adjust. I softened myself. I deferred to him more. I stopped pushing so hard. Nothing changed. I'd catch him watching those illicit videos or pleasuring himself while turning me down. I felt rejected and worthless in my own marriage. I'll be real. I cheated. Now, OP, you know that wasn't the solution. You know you wasn't supposed to do that. She said, I'll be real, I cheated more than once. In my head, I justified it because society often says if a wife withholds intimacy, the husband is, quote, entitled to get it somewhere else. I thought, well, shouldn't that work both ways? It doesn't make it right, but that was my mentality at the time. All right. Anyway, years into this, he pushed for marriage. I hesitated because I didn't think he was ready. He still didn't even have his license. And we live in a place where driving is non-negotiable. I did everything, drove him around, handled the bills, carried the house loan. I resented it, but he promised he'd step up. He even started driving classes while we were planning the wedding. Then, a few months before, he quit the classes. I saw the red flags. I felt in my gut that it was a mistake, but I went through with it because I felt guilty, obligated, and trapped by expectations. The marriage was rocky from day one. Constant arguments. My birthday came that year and he didn't acknowledge it at all. That crushed me. The silent treatment started both ways, and during that time, he didn't bring food into the house for weeks. I was already paying the loans, and it was like he didn't care if I starved. That broke something in me. So I applied for a job overseas, got it, and left. What? That's so random. So you left the country. You didn't even get a job in the next city over or something where you could just be away for longer periods of time during the day. You left the country to be away from this man. I'm weak. At first, he was hostile and angry. Then he sank into sadness and depression. I hated seeing him like that because I do still care about him as a human being, but not as a partner. Since then, we've kept in touch, especially because of our daughter. Things are cordial now, but I know he's still sensitive. Here's where I'm stuck. I want a divorce. Badly. Wait a minute now. Does he even know y'all are separated? Like, yeah, y'all are physically not together, but does he realize? Because it just kind of skipped from I was upset, move overseas to, okay, now it's 3-4 years later, like, or 5 years, I mean, he might still have some hope of reconciliation. She said, here's where I'm stuck. I want a divorce badly. I want to stop carrying the label of a wife when I haven't been with him in years. I want to fully step into my new life, but I feel guilty. I know divorce will devastate him. He'll see it as me officially giving up on him. So my question to y'all is, how do I break this to him in a way that's compassionate but clear? Do I owe him gentleness after everything, or should I just rip the Band-Aid off and file without overthinking his feelings? Oof. I think this is out of my, depth, because I obviously have never been married and never had to divorce anyone. I have had a similar situation in a boyfriend-girlfriend type of situation. And, sometimes you just got to do what's best for you. And sometimes the compassion in showing compassion for others, you also have to show compassion for yourself. And that compassion might be separating, the separation piece. I would probably just have a real conversation with him and let him know, give him a heads up, call him up, or maybe FaceTime. Hey, look, we really have to have a hard conversation. We've been separated for 5 years. I think it's time we just go ahead and make this official. And yeah, he might be sad, but then, okay, what can you do about it? You can't. You have to move on, and you also have to give him space to move on. He might be sad for a little bit, but then he'll find somebody that actually is maybe more compatible for him and his lifestyle and how he does things. So it's good for the both of you. See it as you freeing up his future for a better option, more suited for him. You are actually giving him a gift, if you want to think of it that way. Somebody said, I mean, you've been done for a long time. The delivery doesn't have to be cruel, but just break things off. Try to make the divorce as amicable as possible and tell him you want the both of you to be free. Reassure him you love him as a person and value him being the father of your beautiful daughter, but things have been strained for a while and it's for the better to cut off the limb with gangrene before the whole body goes septic. Now to address you personally. To be honest, he doesn't sound like he's deserving of the title of a husband and never really did. It sounds like he leached onto you and dug his claws into you early because you have drive, and because of that, he'd always be comfortable with the things you've provided. He's been given up, and making you carry the load of everything has never been fair, so don't feel guilty for getting tired of bearing the load by yourself. Your name isn't Atlas, and you were not born to carry the world on your shoulders. I can't even be mad at the cheating because you tried everything you could. Come on, like... They said I can't even be mad at the cheating because you tried everything you could beforehand to no avail. He left you no option. Now, sis, the option was leaving. The option was divorce. The option is not cheating. Cheating is never the option, bro. Cheating is never the option. Come on, y'all gotta be fucking for real. Come on. He left you no option is crazy. That is crazy. They said left you no option while eating off the fruits of your labor. He never lived up to his end of the bargain, but refused to let you go or fix the issue. So it was inevitable in my opinion. That's funny. I hate that you stayed around so long, but having a traumatic upbringing will have you in places you don't belong in anymore, way past their expiration date for the sake of comforting your inner child. I get that. But you aren't just living for you anymore. You have a daughter to set an example for now. In order to show her the best and give her your best self, you've got to do your best. In this case, that means letting her dad go instead of subjecting her to a confusing, unstable childhood. Kids can pick up when parental dynamics are off. Someone else said, you don't owe him a gentle landing. You owe yourself closure. Tell him directly, keep it short, and don't let it turn into a debate. Say it once, clearly, expect emotions, but don't manage them. That's his process, not your responsibility. Your only job is to hold the line. I would have divorced his ass the second he said he didn't want me. Think about it. You could have been done with this half a decade ago. Do you have another 5 years to give? That's a good point. And you also have to think, like, you've been in a relationship for 3 years. What if y'all want to get married? At some point, you're going to just have to do it. I mean, there's going to be you can't avoid the negative repercussions. They're just going to happen. So be prepared and just do what you got to do. She posted this in another subreddit, not like the full thing, a more condensed version, but some other comments. Someone said, it's been 4 years, just file already. Another person, you want to break it gently to someone who couldn't be bothered if you starved? That's a good point. Someone else said, 4 years? You have a boyfriend. I think he knows it's coming. Just do it already. This can't be a real post. Opie said, it is real. Seriously, I'm from the Caribbean. Divorce doesn't have the same stain as it has in the US. In the Caribbean, we are very conservative. When it comes to marriage, you're in it until you die or you separate but not remarry. They look at it like a moral stain and that you are somewhat diminished because you couldn't stick it out, especially with children involved. Wait, but you have a man, you have a boyfriend. So where does that land on the moral stain? Being married and having a boyfriend. You would think that that would be worse than being divorced, or at least equal, you know, if we're talking about a morality scale here. And then at the end of the day, like, we literally are on a freaking floating rock in the middle of space, probably in a black hole somewhere. Who the fuck cares about, you know, the moral stain of you trying to move on with your life and be happy? Really, who cares? In the grand scheme of things, who cares? We're all gonna die someday, and this is gonna be irrelevant. But yeah, anyway, there are some other comments over here. But hey, good luck with that, OP. Good luck. Everybody comment below. Give her some advice. And the next story, I just saw this on my For You page. It says, Christian marriage is drowning. I'm 27 female, feeling so burdened by my husband, 28 male. I just know this finna be some bull. My husband, 28 male, and I, 27 female, have been married for a year and a half. We are both Christians, but our marriage is not reflecting that much at all right now. I'm so burdened by the weight of his demands and expectations of me. I desperately need help. Here's what's happened so far this week. He called me while I was on my way to work and asked if I brought a lunch with me. I said yes, I brought oatmeal and peanut butter. He asked why I didn't bring leftovers from dinner a couple of nights ago. I said I prefer the oatmeal and sometimes leftovers sound bad to me. He went on and on about how I need to learn to eat leftovers so we can save money. I said I'm going to bring what sounds best to me. Oatmeal is cheap. Right, oatmeal is like $2 a box or something crazy, and peanut butter like $5 a jar. Like, if you penny pinching that, brother, get a second job, because that's just crazy. He acting like she getting steak frites every day for lunch and a bottle of wine. Oatmeal, really? She said he had an issue with that and continued to lecture me about it. Why? This isn't the first time he's been upset about what I eat. If I'm anxious and don't eat, he lectures me and tries to force me to eat. If I'm not hungry and it's dinner time, he says I need to eat anyway because it's dinner time. This is weird. This is very weird. Yesterday, he called me while I was at work. He randomly will have a few days off work, and he said he wanted me to go on a trip to visit family with him. We would be leaving that night. I said I can't do that because I have commitments at work. Right. What? We have a big bulk shipment that I'm in charge of that goes out early next week. He got upset and told me I need to ask to get some days off because family is more important. I said I'm not doing that to my work. It's not respectful or right. He was very upset about this. I asked if we could call our counselor and he said no. He didn't want to bother them. I wish we would have. I don't know, man. Something about this is... Now, I could watch too much, crime TV, but is he trying to get rid of you? Is he trying to send you to your maker? Because something like, why is he so concerned about what you're eating all the time? When you have food to eat, it's, oh no, you should have ate these leftovers specifically. When you're not hungry, it's, oh, you need to eat. Then he trying to take you on random trips late at night, leaving late at night, knowing you gotta work. I don't know, sister girl. I would really be, make sure you cook your own food. Make sure someone always knows where you are and where you're going. Cause I don't know, something about this is weird. He said I should quit my job because it's not flexible enough, but I just need to give them at least a 1 week notice. I think that's pretty flexible. Last night he said we could just fly home for the weekend and he would have me back by Monday. Why is She said I said it's too last minute for me and he could just go by himself and see his family for a few days, but he said it's bad for us to be apart. He said I should quit my job and find something more flexible. So I started to sign up for Walmart delivery and said I can quit if he wants, even though I like my job. I hate this. I'm not understanding. Why does he care what I eat at lunch? Why can't he just go see his family for a couple of days? Why does he get angry if I'm not willing to drop everything at work to take a trip with him? It feels like too much, and it is. Something is off here, for sure. Something is off here, okay? I can't quite put my finger on it, but he's definitely orchestrating situations to incite the change that he wants to see. He's creating problems that aren't there so he can create the solution that he has in his head. Oh, you can't take a last minute trip? You know what? Just quit. Why? So I can be home, so you can have even more control. He's trying to control everything you eat, when you eat, even if you're not hungry, what you eat, where you go, when you go. After a while, you're not going to have access to your own money. He's going to be controlling your bank account, what money you can spend, when you can spend it. It's starting to sound, it's not sounding good. I'm not going to lie to you. Somebody said, if this is a Christian marriage, then I'm glad I don't have one. Telling you to quit a job you like because he can't go visit his family alone at the last minute is bizarre. Caring about what you eat for lunch is also bizarre. Having a controlling spouse sounds awful. I hope you two get some counseling so you can get on the same page. Maybe try somebody outside of your church for a different perspective on communication and partnership. Someone said, this is not a Christian marriage. This is a controlling, manipulative husband. Yes, I agree. I don't even know why she said the Christian part, because she didn't mention any Christianity or anything in the post. Someone said, he's trying to control and isolate you so you'll be more vulnerable to more abuse later. Do not quit your job. Do not put your livelihood in danger for him. He clearly doesn't respect you or your boundaries. I completely agree. Like, he's telling you to quit your job with no intention of you actually getting another job. He's just saying that to soften the blow. He don't want you to actually get another job. But don't quit your job, okay? This is crazy. And someone said, and please don't get pregnant. Facts, yes. You know, I think we've lost the plot. I really think we've lost the plot when it comes to religion, Christianity specifically. Christianity, very specifically. Something is happening these days where people are calling things Christianity, but it's not actually Christianity. It's like a Christianity cosplay almost, like a Christianity caricature almost. They're using it as an excuse to be abusive and hateful and toxic and manipulative and being like, oh, well, that's what God would want. I don't think so, buddy. I really don't. And there's a lot more I can say on that, but I think y'all get the point. This whole country right now is in religious psychosis, and they're operating under what they think is Christianity, and it's not. And I say this as a self-proclaimed Christian. Y'all wildin'. If you mean to tell me you think this marriage of this man controlling and manipulating and abusing his wife is a Christian marriage, we've got to crack open the Bible more often. This is ridiculous. She just posted this like 13 hours ago. I hope you get out of this, because this is crazy. I'm gonna do one more because this is short. I'm gonna just do one more. Am I overreacting? How would you feel if your partner was consistently having one-on-one dinner with an old college friend? There's a post and then they have screenshots of their text messages. It says, okay, hear me out. I, 25 male, have been seriously dating C, 31 female, for a little over a year now, and I've known her for about 3 years. She was friends with E, whom she met while in college, and whom she once introduced me to before we started dating about 2 years ago. Throughout this time, they would grab dinners often, monthly, but once we eventually started being serious, I mentioned to her that I was a bit bothered by it. They were essentially dates in my mind. She was receptive at the time, but this built quiet resentment in her, which eventually blew everything up. I feel as though I may have overreacted, and I want to know your thoughts. Okay, so then here's the text messages. I'll say girlfriend and OP to distinguish the different text messages. So girlfriend says, by the way, I might have dinner with my friend tomorrow. He asked me today and I told him I'll let him know tomorrow. I was supposed to go to Home Depot with the client tomorrow, but she rescheduled to Friday. OP said, I know I said I was okay with the one-on-one dinners with your friend, and I meant it, but as we're getting deeper into this relationship, the more I think about it, the less it sits well with me. It's not something I would do if the roles were reversed, and I'm sure you wouldn't be okay with it. Just want to be honest before quiet resentment builds. Girlfriend responded, thank you for being honest about your feelings. I will try to avoid hanging out with guys. Your feeling is definitely valid. I understand and respect that. And just for future records, if the situation is reversed, if I know the plan and the purpose ahead of time, and I have been introduced to the person you'll be meeting, I would be okay with it, knowing it's clearly not a romantic relationship. And if you'd like me to join you, I'd be happy to join and hang out with your friends too. I feel like she I feel like they didn't really address the actual issue. They talking about, concepts. Oh, well, if this ever happened in the future, or we need to talk about the situation at hand. I feel like they're not really getting to the nitty gritty for real. Like, I don't care what you would do in the future. What you gonna do now, So then OP responded, I'm not trying to police who you're hanging out with. I respect your independence, but that said, you never really mention what's the plan and purpose of these dinners. And is that the only screenshot? Where's the rest? He brings up a valid point though, because she said if I know the plan and purpose ahead of time, then I'm okay with it. Yeah, what's the plan and purpose? I mean, I guess for her, it would just be just to see an old friend. I don't know. And then she said, I'll try to avoid hanging out with guys. That's such a overreaction. I feel like that's not what he said. He just said, you and this specific person, I just want to let you know it's a bit weird. Someone said, you said you weren't fine with it, and she seems to acknowledge your feelings in a healthy way. You can word it better such that it's fine to hang out with the friend in a group setting or lunch, but dinner or frequent one-on-ones seems intimate, hence why you're uncomfortable, just my perspective. That's a good point. Because then it's not like, oh, you can never, ever see them. It's just like, make sure the situation is appropriate for the relationship y'all have. Okay, this person said, I'm married, I'm bi, I have male and female friends from before my marriage that I regularly see one-on-one. Some of them I dated previously. If I liked dating them, I would still be with them. I don't want to date them. They're my friends. I love being married to my spouse and I enjoy spending time with my friends. If you can't be friends, only friends with someone who is of the gender you're attracted to and who isn't your partner, isn't that a you problem? If you can't avoid sexualizing every single woman you meet, shouldn't you work on that? If you can't picture a platonic friendship between men and women, maybe your imagination needs exercise. Just because your girlfriend is attracted to men doesn't mean she's attracted to all men, and if you can't trust that she knows if this dude is trying to get at her or not, and that she would cut it off if he were being inappropriate, then maybe you should reconsider if you want to date her. You should be able to trust your partner's word, and she says this is a friendship. Yeah, but people say a lot of things these days. So, Someone else said, I think it's healthy for a girlfriend to see old friends regularly. Friends are essential. If the one-on-ones are the issue, you could ask to be more involved so you can also build the relationship. Alternate one-on-one with dinners at your place, nights out together, joint activities on the weekend, etc. Don't interfere. Be part of it. That's also a good idea, because maybe she can have her one-on-ones at the house. Even you might be in the other room. They could be having their one-on-one, in the living room or something, or you could be a part of it, So she's still getting time with her friend. You're also getting to know the friend. Then you could probably have a better idea of what is really going on with the situation. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the one-on-ones are inherently bad, but maybe if we just restructure a little bit, maybe it could be like someone said, one-on-one lunch versus one-on-one dinner. That seems more like a date. Or one-on-one at the house one time, one-on-one out another time, maybe one-on-two where OP might join once, like kind of switch it up a little bit just so that it doesn't feel so date-y. Maybe, For the palate cleanser, I have this video that I saw on TikTok. It is of a woman graduating. The text on screen says, throwback to when I graduated and my son was so excited. So the video shows her like walking across the stage, but the audio is what is the cutest thing. Hold on.
Yay, that's my mom! Yay, that's my mommy!
That is so freaking cute, bro. That is so cute. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.